I'm doing this now is because, with the remaining time I got left, I want to be able to help people to realize the simplicity of the truth and how people can become healthy, where you don't have to be, you don't have to have a background in the science, or you don't have to be a medical doctor. But the whole problem is there's tremendous amount of confusion, and there's a lot of people eating different diets or following different lifestyles and are healthy. But as time goes on, more and more people are getting sick. Like right now, it's around the holidays. And, I always warn people that around the holidays, from Thanksgiving on into February, more and more people are going to get sick because of what they're doing in their lifestyle. Overindulgence, eating all kinds of rich food they don't eat on a normal basis. And we just had a chance of going to visit somebody because everybody's sick. The whole family's sick. And a lot of people call me up. They're sick. They got the flu. They got this. They got that. And that happens when you're overeating in food. You're eating a lot of processed food and a lot of rich foods, and you're drinking too much. That's what happens around the holidays. Soon as the temperature drops down, this is going to be confusing to people. Soon as the temperature drops down to below 45 degrees, the body actually contracts on a cellular level in colder weather, and it actually squeezes more endogenous matter into your system, creating an environment for bacteria to proliferate. I've been watching this now for, close to 60 years. This, when people get sick seasonally. A lot of people eat the same foods in the summer and just don't happen till the weather gets cold. And of course, people are confused. There's so many experts, and you go on YouTube, there's people that are supposed to be experts with difference of opinions. You got people, and you also have people that claim they're eating the worst foods in the world, and they're 65 years old, and they're getting by. But it's not really the case. If you want to live an optimal lifestyle, and I mean an optimal lifestyle, I mean to live to an advanced stage and have all your faculties and very rarely ever get sick, you have to take it to another level. That's where all the confusion is. And the reason for that is, this was confusing to me many, many years ago in the beginning, because we've been indoctrinated into a healthcare system that's more about money than healthcare. More people are confused because they don't realize why a lot of the information that was available years ago that we were told to follow, that was healthy, it wasn't that really that healthy. In fact, it wasn't really that good at all. And now some of the things that I spoke about and advocated years ago, people thought it was bizarre, or we just thought it was, wasn't true science. Now a lot of this is coming of age. The people are still struggling. But where the controversy is, a big part of the controversy is that people with different types of diets, diets are high in animal protein, the carnivore diet we discussed the other day. And I have people that come to me that eat animal protein. I don't want people to think that I advocate for the average person to go on a raw diet. I don't do it. Because I know most people can't sustain over a period of lifetime an all raw diet. Even though if you can do it and you're able to handle the psychological aspects of it, where you're kind of an alien in your own environment, and you could do it and realize that, it's very hard to go back. Like I've had a couple of bad accidents, and people said, "Oh, you have to eat animal protein to recover," and I knew that was ridiculous because if I had listened to them, I would have been in a lot of trouble. In fact, I had a very bad accident about 45 years ago. I lost half my right shoulder, broke my ribs on the right-hand side, and injured my back. But because of my lifestyle and fasting, and because some of the spiritual aspects of what I do, but fasting and prayer, I was able to recover without going for surgery. Maybe I should have went for shoulder surgery, but I didn't. At that time, I chose not to do it. So I switched from the type of exercise I was doing, because I can't get my right arm up in the air. I got into long distance running, and I started running marathons and ultra distance running. I did it on a raw diet. So a lot of people say you can't have a lot of energy on a raw food diet. That's just not true. Again, I don't want anybody to take any of this, some of the things I'm sharing here, and try it for themselves without supervision. This is not, a lot of this stuff is not for the average person unless they're properly supervised. As an example, if people want to Google, to give you an idea what's really going on, if they Google the Stockholm Fast March, and this took place many, many years ago. I actually followed some of the great Europeans, and to come out, to be able to, to really look into eating, vegan and raw food diets. If they Google the Stockholm Fast March, they'll find that there was 11 men, experienced fasters, were able to fast for 10 days and walk 330 miles. Now, that's a fact, but it sounds absolutely bizarre. Because once you're an experienced faster, or you're used to eating a highly evolved diet, once you go into a fast, your body switches from the food you're eating to burning body fat and produces ketones instead of your body utilizing glucose, which is the primary fuel for your brain is glucose. The secondary fuel for your brain, if you're burning body fat, are ketones. But you don't want to do that on a regular basis, despite what some of the people are being told. It doesn't work over a long period of time. How do I know that? Because I've been observing what's going on for the last 60 years. Anything that's radical and extreme that might work really well in the beginning is temporary. 50, 60, between 45 and 60 years ago, there was a bunch of people out in California Beach Boys. They were living on a fruitarian diet. They were running around half naked, getting out in the sunshine and being grounded and everything like that. And they did well in the beginning, but they didn't do well in the long run. They didn't last over a long period of time. So I don't recommend anything that's radical and extreme, for the average person to just eat, one or two particular foods. And because it doesn't really work in the long run, a lot of the Atkins diet years ago was similar. It started out as the carnivore diet. People did very well in the beginning, were very satisfied eating the animal protein, lost tremendous amount of weight, but it didn't last. It ended up being, didn't work very, very well over a long period of time. In fact, Dr. Atkins, he didn't do well because of his own diet. Then there was the Stillman diet, the same type of diet, the Carnivore diet, same type of diet. So a lot of what's going on today is just recycled information. That's all it really is. It's new information with a new suit of clothes. And being it's generational, more people have, they don't know what's happened in the past. They don't realize what happened in the past. So what I recommend for people is to follow a plant-based diet. And I discussed, a lot of the information that was in the Bible. A lot of people, there's plenty of people that might be Bible scholars, and, they're eating, they're for their own reasons, they're eating foods that, I guess they don't agree with the Bible. I don't really know. Not that most people are going to be able to do that. But I spoke about, Genesis 1:29, what took place to Genesis 9:3, which is, I think, about 1,650 years, where people that believed that lived on a vegan diet. And then from Genesis 9:3 to the time of Ruth, I took a second look, and it was, was someplace between 1,000 and 1,200 years. I'm not sure. And lifespan over that period, if you look at the Bible for people, because there was a gentleman that was, I think he was a Bible scholar, an Old Testament scholar, and he said that his family eats meat, which is fine. I mean, you could eat some meat and be a healthy person. That wasn't the point I was trying to make. So I remember when I was growing up during the Depression in the 30s, and my family were poor immigrants, I mean, we definitely didn't eat a lot of meat because we just didn't have the money. My brothers used to bring home pheasants and rabbits when we got something. We ate a lot of cornmeal, a lot of all kinds of. My mother made all kinds of fresh vegetables from the garden, and ate some grains. And I came from a family of 9 children. My brothers were all big, strong guys. We had to cut down trees to use for firewood and everything. So, in order to look at this, to simplify it, and not to get too complicated, we have to take a good look at the human body. And as I said before, every species of animal on Earth has a species-specific diet. They very rarely come outside their species-specific diet because they're instinctual animals. We're cerebral, so we're capable of coming outside of our species-specific diet, which I'm talking about the optimal diet. So animals, cats are classified as carnivores. Dogs and wolves are classified as omnivores. Now, a lot of experts classify humans as omnivores. We're not omnivores. We're basically, based on our anatomical design and our physiology, we're herbivores and frugivores, just like it said in Genesis 1:29. That's what I believe. And that's what a lot of the science I followed, a lot of the science I learned in school, it just didn't work nowhere near as well, because a lot of the foods that were promoted were based on abstract scientific research and double-blind studies. But if you look at the world, now this is part of the confusion, I think. You look all over the world. You look at the Middle East. You look at Africa. You look at the Caribbean. No matter what, different parts of Europe, there are people that are healthy and unhealthy in all different parts of the world. Now, because of the environment and a lot of foods are locally grown, people become accustomed to eating different foods, and preparing it differently. And a lot of the food is processed. And in different countries, there are people that are healthy and people that are unhealthy. And it's all based on how much the food is being processed, or how much chemicals are in the food, how much the food has been adjusted for its natural state. No matter where you go, it's different. And there are still a lot of people that eat locally grown food. If you're eating locally grown food, that makes it seasonal. And if you're not eating an extreme diet, you can adjust your diet to the seasons. Like I created a lifestyle. It's called my intermediate level diet, where you're eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, you're eating some animal protein, you're eating some whole grains with the bran and the germ. And I recommend that in the summer, they eat, more raw foods, like 80% raw and 20% cooked. And in the winter, they can eat more cooked food and less raw foods. Under those circumstances, they can adjust to a seasonal diet. But if you're eating an extreme diet, like if you're eating a raw diet that's extreme, it's much harder to eat in a very cold climate. That's why a lot of people got into a raw diet. They moved to the tropics. Now, if you're eating a raw food diet, you don't know how to make the adjustments, and it's extremely cold, it could affect your thyroid. I've seen that happen to plenty of people. And so if you're eating too much cooked and prepared food in the summer, you're not going to feel good, because the temperature outside your body has a lot to do what's happening internally on a cellular level. Now, there's certain aspects, in spite of the food that you're eating, that are important in this order. Number one, the most important thing you need on an immediate basis is you have to be getting clean air, getting enough oxygen. Number two in that order is clean water. And I'm not talking about some of the waters that people are buying and some of the waters they're getting from the municipal tap system, because there's so much in it. That's something I never drink that. Number three in this order is not food yet. Number three is adequate sleep. If you don't get adequate sleep, if you don't sleep for 2 weeks, there's a good chance you're going to be having a lot of trouble emotionally, psychologically. And number four is food. and that you get sufficient calories from a clean source where you have a chance of being healthy for a reasonable amount of time. That's where the problem is. So if you're eating, say you're eating a carnivore diet, you can get enough calories. You're getting, you're getting plenty of fat and you're getting plenty of animal protein. But that is not the reason why you lose so much weight on that type of a diet. And I'm not against somebody eating that diet. It's up. I just want them to realize how it was scientifically over a long period of time. So what happens, because the fat and the protein from an animal and the human digestive system, it's not biologically available. It's going to force your body to burn body fat. That's why people lose tremendous amounts of weight. But you can only go down so far in your body weight. And that's exactly what happened with the Atkins diet. People would do it 5, 6, 7, 10 years. Then all of a sudden they couldn't sustain that diet. And when you eat a diet that's a carnivore diet, unless you know what to do, you're not going back to eating vegetables, unless you know how to transition, because you feel so uncomfortable. And that's why I think a lot of people are being told that vegetables are poison, which is utterly ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, there's certain toxins in small amounts that are in plants that are used to, nature put in there to help with insects in there for a reason. You take you take a romaine lettuce and break it right off the plant. If you look, there's a little bit of white sap there. If you drank that sap, you would get sick because it is toxic. But it doesn't mean that it's going to affect you a negative way as far as your health is concerned. So, just people that just
Hey Fred, if you're open to it, do you want to go live on YouTube and we'll see if anyone has questions? Keep talking, but if they have a question,
go ahead.
Okay, that sounds good.
Sounds good.
Keep talking, and if a question comes up, I'll bring it up.
Okay, so then, as I said before, a lot of people, listen, let's face it, fruit is delicious. Once you start eating a lot of raw foods and drinking juices, I mean, a lot of people, they actually feel euphoric, because what you're doing, with some people like me years ago, my blood sugar used to go up and it used to come down. So when I used to eat a lot of fruit after training for a marathon, every second or third week, I used to do a 22-mile run. And just like I did today, even though I'm recovering from serious back surgery, I went for a very, very long, hard walk up through the hills. I'm still using a walker because, I had serious surgery, and they said I wouldn't walk for a couple of months, and I've been walking now. I started walking 4 weeks after the surgery, and my balance is off, and that's coming back very rapidly. And I'm planning what I want to do to encourage older people that you can recover. And within a year, I'm training to do an ultra endurance event. I'm not going to reveal what it is now at the time, because I would have to fully come back with my surgery. So, a lot of people there are people eating fruitarian diets, and I'm talking about a diet where, it's 90 or 100% fruit. I definitely don't recommend that. There's no reason to do that. You want to make sure you're getting, fruit has more vitamins than minerals. You want to make sure you're getting enough minerals. And there's a lot of controversy that you have to eat animal protein, that you won't get enough vitamin B12. Well, I do recommend, to be on the safe side, that you do take some vitamin B12. But the first 25 years that I was a raw food, I didn't take no vitamin B12. And if you don't have a lot of flatulence, your body will be able to utilize some of the intestinal flora and utilize that for animal B12. But I do take animal B12 now, and I figured, what's the sense of trying to prove anything? Because a lot of people wouldn't accept that anyway, because it's not part of traditional science. And so it's very, very important, I think, that people look at this for the long run, because we definitely have the information today. If you could step outside the box and to live a very, very long life, I'm talking about 80, 90, and 100. But, and there's other factors, of course. There's emotional, psychological factors. a lot of people living under a lot of stress. If you're under a lot of stress and you eat a great diet, no matter what kind of diet you eat, you're going to have problems. It interferes with your digestion, and a lot of people, they're not, that's a big problem. They're not looking at circadian rhythms in your body clock. They don't realize why it's important that you eat in daylight hours, because if you're eating, say it gets dark where you are at 6 o'clock and you're eating at 9 o'clock at night, when it goes from daylight to darkness, the optic nerve in your eye sends a message to an apostat in your brain, a hypothalamus gland, to slow down your metabolism. So if you're eating at 9 o'clock, your metabolism has slowed down, and you could start to have not good digestion. You might start to ferment, and you could start to have a problem. Don't forget, Otto Warburg, who won the Nobel Peace Prize for Science twice, says cancer is caused by fermentative, not oxidative respiration. So a lot of people think he's talking about fermentation that comes like when you make wine by eating fruit. No, that's not what he was really getting at. If you're overeating, like people are eating right over the holidays, and you're fermenting, you have indigestion, you're going to bed, you're drinking too much, and within a very short time, you're creating an internal environment for bacteria and viruses to proliferate. In other words, you got a lot of endogenous material in your system that's food for the bacteria and the viruses. So if you eat, you don't overeat, or a day after you do overeat, you don't eat for a day or so. Don't forget, I'm not telling people to do all this unless they choose to do it on their own. But I remember I saw that many years ago during the Depression in the 30s and 40s. We didn't have a lot of food, and my mother was a wise person, and I remember she always made sure there was 9 kids that we had enough food to eat. And I used to watch my mother eat. She would eat like 3 cups of food a day, and the food was pretty good food. And my mother lived to be 101, 2 months short of 101. A very stressful life. She probably would have lived a lot longer. Her girlfriend, same way, lived to be 105. They didn't have all the science today. They didn't have all the information on YouTube. They just did it. It was instinctual. And the amazing thing about it, they were hardworking, energetic people that worked the land, grew plants, did everything. Always had a lot of energy. But stress was a factor in a lot. Everything was a struggle. Survival was a struggle in those days. So today, and if you look around at the world, that's the different countries, people are eating different foods. And of course now, getting a lot of attention is the blue zone. Certain parts of Italy, the Mediterranean, Okinawa, where people are living to be in their 90s and 100s. And they're basically eating a plant-based diet, in spite of people out there, people telling you not to use oils, they're using olive oil. They eat a variety of different foods. They don't eat a lot of animal protein. They do eat some. I'm not against people eating some animal protein if that's their choice. That's not my choice, but everybody has the right to choose their own, what they want to do. Remember, whatever you eat, there are many, many factors in living on a healthy diet. It's not just food. There's stress, how much sleep you're getting, if you're getting clean water, exercise out in the fresh air, being grounded. Being grounded is amazing, but people just don't see the connection. The electrons from the earth energy, when you're grounded, has tremendous effect. Now, just to relate something that just happened to me personally, because of that accident, it took years for that accident to get to me, though. But it got to the point where I had a pinched nerve between L5 and S1, extremely painful. And if you told me I would ever go for surgery for that, but for an injury, I probably would have said never going to happen. But I'll never say never going to happen again, because I ended up going for laminectomy, and it didn't work. I had a great surgeon. The woman did the best she could, I think, but it didn't work for me. And because of the left side of my body is stronger from that terrible collision I was in, the car was a total wreck. My body started to twist, and I started to get the spinal. My spine started to twist, scoliosis, but it doesn't bother me. So I finally had to go for a spinal fusion, and that was painful. And I never thought I would take the painkiller. I took the doctor said, "You're going to have to take painkillers. This is a very delicate surgery." They put a cage in my spine. They put 3 screws in I got 3 screws in it, and they had to put some cadaver bone in there, which a lot of people were saying, "Freddie, don't do that." But I know the risk of what I had to do, but I had to do it. So I did that, and I was in tremendous amount of pain. And I tried taking some oxycodone, and that only lasted 2 days. I actually hallucinated from it. My wife could confirm that. So I stopped it, and I just, I gutted it out. And now it's 2 months after the surgery. And today, and I'm exercising, doing a lot of exercising, doing Qigong with a lot of breathing, doing a lot of samurai. Very, very important for me anyway. And, I'm going out through the hills around here. I still take the walker because I can't afford to fall, but I think in another 2 weeks I'll be without the walker. But fortunately for me, my oldest daughter, who knows about grounding, so for Christmas she gave me and I couldn't sleep. I hadn't had, just to jump around a little bit, I didn't get more than a 3 hours sleep for the last year because of the pain, the discomfort, the way things were happening. So my daughter bought me a grounding sheet and a sheet and a pillowcase. So 3 days ago, I started to use it. I had tried it once before, but I didn't realize you had to sleep, without clothes on, because your skin had to make contact with the grounding sheet. So she reminded me that. And 3 days ago, I slept with my head on the grounding pillow, my head on the grounding sheet. This is not an infomercial. I don't care if people buy any, whatever they do. I'm just telling you what happened. And then the first night, I wasn't comfortable because it was just too cold in the bedroom, and even though I had a good blanket over me. But the next night, I slept with my long sleeve undershirt on, and that was the first night in a year that I slept 6 solid hours. So, and then the next night, I slept very good too. So tonight, I'm looking forward to a good night's rest, because it's very hard to go without sleep. When you're sleeping at night, you're actually on a self-dialysis process. Your body's autolyzing and actually going through the process of regeneration from your day's activity and what you ate. So it's really, really important, just to make it simple. So people have to, in order to be healthy, they have to strive to get away from the processed food. Whatever you weigh, if you want to go, you want to eat more animal protein, that's up to you. But to leave out fruits and vegetables, it's not a good idea in the long run. You could do it, but maybe 6, 7, 8 years or so, but that's not what I call a long run. If you look around in Asia, many years ago in China, people ate, starches, white rice. They ate a lot of vegetables. I was in a beautiful Asian market today to buy some frozen durian. I love durian. I mean, the place is loaded with fruits and vegetables, loaded, and fresh fish. They had big tanks, fish with fish swimming around. People were picking out the fish. But we're designed to eat a plant-based diet for the long run. For short run, you want to burn fat, you want to feel strong, you want to have big muscles. That'll work in the short run. Don't work in the long run. People talk about, indigenous cultures. And what's amazing to me, people quote, statistics that I haven't found to be accurate. This is nothing new to me looking at statistics from people all over the world. I saw somebody that was mentioned the Maasai warriors. Maasai warriors are some of the handsomest people you'd ever want to see. They're big, tall, lean, and strong. But if you Google it, you'll find that the average male lives 42 years and the average woman lives 44 years. Now, there's problems with childhood diseases that's definitely a factor. So they're not living long lives. As I said, lifestyles are many different things. Then you take the Hooter Indians in Africa, same thing. They don't live long lives. And, basically they're hunter-gatherers. Then the Inuit Indians, I think the life expectancy is about 61, 69 years. Now, they eat a lot of blubber and fat and things like that, but they have very little, if any, heart disease. Of course, they're living in extreme climatic conditions. That has a lot to do with it. But to use them as a statistic saying they're living long lives, it's not accurate. In fact, there was a period when about 20 years ago, when they were lucky they lived to 40. So you have to quote, the statistics. I think it's important to be able to be honest and quote the right statistics, And then going back to, a lot of people don't believe in scripture. They don't think it has any validity. But the Essene Gospel, that was written many, many years ago. I'm sure you're familiar with the Essenes, right, Paul?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so the Essenes lived a very long life. They lived in the desert, simple diets, and a lot of it was sun cooked and things like that. So I did a lot of research about studying the Essene Gospel many years ago. So, you got to take a broader look. I'm not pushing any one type of a diet. I'm just trying to have people take a good look if they want to. If they don't want to, I mean, they just want to eat what they want and, eat what they desire and, take their chances. That's fine. I had a brother that did that. He lived, he belonged to Mensa. And, he thought he could smoke and do kinds of other things and ended up dying of lung cancer. So, you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. I posted a video that you and I did about the carnivore diet. And a lot of people that are currently doing it are talking about how great it is and how great it makes them feel. And I told them long term, it's not the best way to go. And a lot of them dispute that. And I think some of the confusion is people think a carnivore diet means that you're just eating some meat. But there are other people that know that it's a high protein, high fat diet, but they dispute that eating any vegetables is even necessary, and they feel fine with it. So what would you say to those people that
Well, Paul, that's true. There are people, I have to question how many people are really just eating, ribeye steak and nothing else. I find that to be very questionable, to be honest with you, because I've seen that happen in the beginning of the Atkins diet. But there are people that are doing that, and they had remarkable changes from emotional, psychological issues. A lot of their joint pain went away. A lot of things went away. But if they're getting clean air, they're drinking water, they're getting enough sleep, they're getting enough calories, and they're leaving out all these other foods that are processed, that are incorporated into their diet, and then their body will have a chance of regeneration. And they'll be satisfied, because the hardest food, the most satisfying food, is animal protein because of the fat and the protein. But as I said before, I've been watching this for 60 years. This is nothing new. Now, I'm not talking about feeling good for 10 years. I'm talking about a lifestyle. Now, maybe there are people that are eating, just eating animal protein for 10, 15 years. I doubt it, though. I think because it's very hard to stick to that type of a diet. I think there's plenty of people out there that are eating eggs and cheese and other things and drinking milk. I still don't recommend it. But once you follow that type of diet, going back to eating animal protein, I'm going back to eating vegetables, you can't do it unless you know how to do it. There's a way to do it, which I won't go into because I don't want to get anybody in any kind of trouble. And of course, there's people eating, I know some people that are eating animal protein and eating food along with it because, you don't have the undigestible fiber that's in cellulose. So I don't doubt there's loads of people trying the carnivore diet and, feeling good in the beginning. But there was one doctor that was a big advocate of it. He just changed his mind because he ran into trouble himself. So I'm not going to mention his name. And I know other people, I've had numerous people call me up that were doing it and felt wonderful, and they ran into trouble. So I'm not knocking any kind of a diet. You want to eat a macrobiotic diet, I'll tell you a little story. Maybe this will this would put a little humor in it, maybe. I don't know. I remember doing World War II, and it was, World War II was a lot of chaos in Europe. A lot of people died. I'm totally against wars. I think it's all about money. But I remember reading the V1 and the V2 rockets. They were bombing London, and people were in bomb shelters most of the time. And I remember reading about this woman. I'll never forget this story. She was type 2 diabetic. She had arthritis. She had pain. And, but she couldn't get enough food. And she was eating a lot of food she didn't want to eat. It really wasn't any kind of quality food. And somebody made her aware to get 1 or 2 50-gallon drums and clean them out, and that she could grow potatoes in a 50-gallon drum. She filled it up with soil, and she grew potatoes. So for 2 or 3 years, all she ate was potatoes that she grew in a 50-gallon drum. Well, and there were doctors that told her you couldn't eat potatoes because they were high in the glycemic index. Her diabetes was going to get worse. Now, what happened? Her diabetes went away, all her pain went away, and she said she never felt better in her whole life. Now, I don't know what happened to her. I don't think she ate potatoes out of a 50-gallon drum for the rest of her life. But also, there's a doctor, I'm not going to mention his name. He says temporarily, over a long period of time, but temporarily, you can live on just oatmeal. And they did that. There are people that are doing that, and their problems seem to go away. I don't recommend things like that over a long period of time. And years ago, people were recommending mono diets, eating one type of food over a long period of time. I'm not looking to, debate how a person feels that eating the carnivore diet for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. That's up to them to decide what they want to do. God bless them. I wish them well. But my experience in the last 60 years, I've seen plenty of people try this. Plenty of people try eating diets, mostly animal protein. Especially, I used to, as you know, many years ago, I was a competitive weightlifter. I wasn't always a thin guy. I weighed well over 200 pounds, and I was an Olympic type of weightlifter. And what happened, I was running a gym. We had a very good weightlifting team. There was a lot of guys there that, eating diets with massive amounts of protein, and they were very good. They were very good lifters, but they didn't live a long time at all. And if you check out some of the people years ago from the New York Barbell Club, they were world champions. They didn't live a long time. So I don't go by anecdotal information. Somebody's only doing something 10, 15 years. That's great. That's what we want to go by. That's not what I go by. I'm talking about quality of life, longevity, cognitive function. You want to have your brain working well at, 80, 85, 90 years old. There's certain things you got to do. There's certain things you have to leave out, and certain things you got to include. I've had 3 brain concussions in my life. 2 years ago, I got hit by a line drive in a baseball game. Everybody knows that around here. And got knocked cold. And I had a brain concussion. So far, thank God, my mind's as sharp as it ever was. If I lived the way I was brought up to live, even though it was good, would I be like that? I don't think so, to be honest with you, Paul. So, hey, listen, God bless those people. They want to eat a carnivore diet, but, everything's been done before. There's nothing new here. Everything has been done before. This is just a lot of the same things that happen. It's just a new suit of clothes. That's all.
Sure. So we got a question from somebody. By the way, if you could sit back because the camera, you're moving up. So yeah. So we got a question. Somebody's asking, how did you heal from mold?
How did you heal from mold? Yeah, I guess they heard about what happened to me with the mold. Yeah, that's another controversy, right? When my office is downstairs, we had a flood here in the basement, and a lot of the raw sewage from the neighborhood, the sewer backed up out in the street. It blew the commode off the floor, so we had to back up a raw sewage. Had people come in, and they didn't do it well. They didn't pick up the carpets, and we got mold in here. And I went down here every day. Thank God my family wasn't going down here then. And I got I started to get secondary effects from the mold. The mold won't kill you, but the secondary diseases could kill you. And what happened when I really started to realize what had gone wrong is that, I don't know if you could see it, my head blew up and I got an infection in my sinus cavity because of the mold, and it ate a hole right through my skull. Can you see that? That scar here looks like a bullet hole.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so, and then I was very curious. I read there was a doctor wrote a 700-page book on mold. I forget his name right now. So I read the book, and he really didn't do anything I thought that was going to help me. And I went to see a doctor that was a mold specialist, and he said I had to give up being a vegan, and I had to eat a lot of animal protein, which I knew was ridiculous. So what I did is I did a fast. I bought raw noni juice. I took lots of probiotics. And first and foremost, you got to get out of the environment. I had to move out of this house. My wife and I had to move out of this house for a couple of weeks and have them come in and clean up downstairs. They ripped out all the walls and ripped out everything. Guys come in with hazmat suits. They come in with special equipment and got rid of the mold. Once you get rid of the mold, go back to a clean diet and you clean up your body. A lot of people take antifungals. I didn't take them. But, I got that noni juice was very, very effective. The high doses of probiotics and a special type of silver that I use. I put in a nebulizer because, the mold gets in your lungs. I had pneumonia. It almost killed me. It could have killed me, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But those things happen. Like I had the accident, been exposed to mold. Make sure you have somebody come in and check the environment for mold. You got to come in and check the environment because you could have spores in the environment. The mold spores could be in the environment. You'll never know it. In fact, when I was in the hospital, they were treating me for the secondary disease. I almost didn't survive it. They weren't treating me for the mold I had in me. So I took care of myself when I got home. I'm very leery about mold. Every once in a while, I have this guy come in and check to make sure there's no mold in this house because I know how insidious it is. You can have all kinds of secondary diseases, and they can't track it, and you won't know it's coming from the mold because they treat the secondary disease like a pneumonia with antibiotics, but the antibiotics don't necessarily get rid of the mold. There's ways to get rid of it. First and foremost, you got to get out of the environment, and you got to clean up the mold. You have to wash all your clothes. You can't use your clothes because the mold spores could be in your clothes. I had to wash or get rid of all my clothes. You had to throw them out or wash them. And then once I did everything I had to do, I was aware of what was going on. I got rid of it right away. I got better. But it was eye-opening because when my wife saw my head opened up, and I went to see a doctor friend of mine who's a great guy, he's a professor in medicine, and he thought I had cancer. He got very nervous. He said, "Don't get nervous, Mr. Bisci. You're going to be okay. I'm going to send you to see this specialist, and he's going to take care of you, and you're going to be fine." I said to him, I don't want to mention his name. I said, "I'm a big boy now. Well, what's wrong?" "No, don't worry. You're going to be okay." So I went to see the specialist, and he was a surgeon, a cancer specialist. And his remedy was to remove my forehead, right, and put a plate in my head. Well, I was going to do it. This was years ago. I was going to do it, and when they were going to, the day I was supposed to get the surgery, get the plate removed, my daughter told him that I had pneumonia about a week before. No, not a week, a month before that. And the anesthesiologist said, "We can't put you under general anesthesia. We're going to have to wait because of your age." I was no kid in those days either. And the surgeon, who was a great guy, I had a lot of respect for him. And he said, "We'll have to wait a while." So then I took all the steps I needed to get better. And he said I couldn't leave that hole in my head right here, wouldn't heal up. And it did heal up. And then I saw what was happening. I didn't go for the surgery. He called me up a couple of times, and I think he was just being honest. He said, Mr. Bisci, your forehead is not going to heal up unless you get surgery and get a plate put in your head. Well, I never had the plate put in my head, thank God. But it looks like I got shot in the head. It looks like I got a bullet hole in my head.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we have another question. Somebody's asking, and for those of you that are watching, we're with Dr. Fred Bisci. He's 94 years old. He's a nutritionist in New York. And so, Dr. Fred, somebody's asking what to take for omega-3.
Well, there's many good sources of omega-3s out there. There's certain seeds, like chia seeds. There's a number of different things. I've never, in all my 60 years of being on a raw vegan diet, I've never taken anything I've never taken any fish liver rolls. I've never taken anything. Because I don't think we're biologically designed that it's necessary. So, that person should find a good source of omega-3, something that's, maybe something by Innate Laboratories up in New Hampshire, a good product or pure encapsulation if you want to take it. You know what I'm saying? I've never taken anything like that. I never felt it was necessary for me. And there's nothing wrong with the way my mind works.
Sure. Another question is somebody's asking, what's your opinion of mushrooms?
Mushrooms, when you have mold intoxication, I wouldn't eat regular mushrooms. There's medicinal mushrooms. There's a lot of people selling medicinal mushrooms, coffee and things like that, and people drinking it instead of coffee. Mushrooms are a fungi, so if you ever have any kind of mold or fungus, you have to be careful. If you, I don't eat mushrooms. I haven't eaten them in 60 years, but I don't think like my wife eats them, people in my family, not everybody in my family, in fact, nobody in my family lives like me. But, if you don't have candida, you don't have mold, you don't suffer from any kind of fungus, and, you're eating some mushrooms, make sure they're clean, you don't have problems, and you can eat them. Medicinal mushrooms are supposed to have a lot of benefits for, different types of diseases, cancer and autoimmune things like that. You could try them. They do. I know people that use that stuff and they claim it works. I've never used any of that stuff. I never found it necessary.
All right. Dr. Fred Bisci is 94 years old. Somebody's asking who just joined. 94 years young, I could say. And another question, somebody's asking about the Velasta. They said, have you ever taken it? And is it safe to take during a solid food vacation? I guess they mean during a fast.
Well, the Velasta is a form of astaxanthin, and it was tagged with I know the guy that developed it, Dave Shepard. He's a friend of mine, and I've seen it work dramatically well with people that are very, very sick with advanced stages of cancer. I've seen it help them. Now, I'm not making any kind of claims. I don't want to do that because I know that so many people will be, jumping all over me. But I'm a big fan of Velasta. It works very, very well, and it's not a panacea. And if you call them up, they're very honest people. They got all kinds of statistics that tell you, what kind of diseases it works better with. But one thing I would have tell you for sure, that's my own experience. The pain from my surgery, I've had some serious injuries, and I could handle pain because of the way I eat. I have very high pain tolerance, but the pain from that surgery, the first month, and I couldn't take painkillers. I tried the oxy, and I had me hallucinating because of my lifestyle. I'm very sensitive. So I spoke to Sam. I asked him how much could I take. He said I could take up to 3,000 milligrams. So I started taking high doses of the Velasta, high dosage, and it definitely helped me with my pain. Definitely, I have no doubt about it. That it enabled me to get through it. Very powerful antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and it comes in two forms. He put it in add it into some kind of chocolate, but a lot of people won't take the oil. And then he has another form where he puts it in a form of olive oil. I won't go into. I don't want to give away a proprietary secret, but the oil is pretty unbelievable. It's not regular olive oil, so I take that. And when I was in severe pain, I was taking 10 pumps 3 times a day, which is a lot. Now, if you take tremendous amount of that, it'll give you loose bowels. It won't give you diarrhea. A lot of people don't know the difference between diarrhea and loose bowels. Diarrhea is when you're going to the bathroom multiple times a day, like 6, 7, 8 times a day, and it's watery. When you take, the way I was taking the Velastin to relieve the pain, I would just sit down and everything would come out of me and it would be loose, you know. But it was only 3 times a day, so that's not diarrhea. That's just loose bowels, and it definitely helped me with the pain. In fact, I took it today. You know, I take it on a regular basis. You know, but when I first started taking, I used to get up at night to take it because the pain was brutal. I have to say the pain was really bad. Most people that get that type of surgery, you know, they take all kinds of painkillers. Because of my lifestyle, you know, that's maybe that's people would consider one of the downsides. You know, you can't take a lot of different medications, which, you know, worked for me so far at this point. But what I am going to do is I want to encourage older people to get beyond all the hype and all the abstract science and all the promotional information, you know, about what to do. You know, if you don't feel good, and get beyond all the stuff that works short term. I say short term. I'm not talking about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm talking about a few years, maybe much as up to 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 years. I'm talking about helping people to realize that we have the information today to live a very long life and have to be sharp, you know, with your cognitive ability to remain pain-free, even under severe circumstances, not to develop some of the chronic diseases that we develop from our lifestyle. We have the most advanced medical science in the world, yet we are the sickest industrialized country in the world. How come? What's wrong here? Why are some primitive people in the world who live in a simple diet, in some respects, getting less disease that we're getting, less type 2 diabetes, less heart disease, less cancer? How can that be? Where have we gone wrong is what I want to know. And the thing is, I know what I'm saying is very controversial. It's, you know, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh no, I eat I'm eating this way, and I'm doing okay." All right, that's okay. But you know, I'm talking about what you're going to do in the long run. You want to live a long time and enjoy your grandchildren like I'm enjoying your great grandchildren. That's, you know, and the time I got left, and I feel pretty good. You know, I might be gone tomorrow, but I might be here a lot longer than people would think. And that's why I'm planning to do an ultra endurance event. You know, if my surgery works out the way I want it to work out, well, I hope it's going to work out, which I'm very hopeful, because I had good doctors from up at Hospital for Special Surgery, and I had a lot of faith in that guy that, you know, that did the work on me. So, any other questions, Paul?
Yeah. A friend asked, the famous Judge Caprino now has pancreatic cancer. What advice would you have for him?
Well, I mean, I can't really give that information out on the air, Paul. There is, you know, my brother Johnny had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, 6 months to live. He lived 14 years. Then his wife got Alzheimer's and he gave up. He said he didn't want to live no more. So, you know, it's a radical lifestyle change. There's certain supplements you have to take. It's not a guarantee. It's not a panacea. And if you got a good doctor, you're being treated by a good doctor, I definitely would change my lifestyle, because it does make a difference. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And so, yeah, we got several questions here, but for those of you that are watching, Dr. Bisci's raw food vegan for over 60 years now, and he's He's 94 years old, and he has a lot of information on the internet, and he talks about uh, everything he teaches in many different places. And you can go on YouTube and see the full video here, what we're doing now. So let's take a few more questions before we end tonight, but we'll do this again, everybody. And I thank you for your time tonight. So somebody's asking about, can you offer any insight about eating according to one's blood type?
Yes, I think there is some scientific basis to it, but the guy that developed that was a chiropractor, and I forget his last name. I know plenty of people that are blood type O, and they're vegans and they're doing very, very well. That could get complicated. I don't think it's necessary at all to be a healthy person. Eat according to your blood type. And one thing is for sure, you could eat according to your blood type and it could be a disaster. So, it depends upon whether the food is processed. There's a lot of other factors about the water, the exercise. So I'm not a big fan of that information, to be honest with you.
All right. Somebody's asking, is it okay to drink distilled water?
Yeah, it's okay. It's distilled water is inert. The natural hygienists recommend that you only drink distilled water. I drank distilled water for, I don't know, 25, 30 years. And I don't drink distilled water no more. And, I'm still doing fine. My bones are good. And, if you want to, if you're going on a fast, then drink distilled water. But, I think that a lot of people still recommend distilled water. In fact, I had a distiller many years ago. I never, I did a lot of research and experimenting with distilled water. And you got to make sure that that you're getting enough minerals. If you're a fruitarian just drinking distilled water, you might run into trouble because it is inert. It could pull minerals out of your skeletal frame. I have seen that happen. They say, no, it don't happen. I've seen it happen. So, but you got to make sure that your water is clean. It's pure H2O.
So if somebody's doing reverse osmosis water, which is similar to distilled without minerals, would you recommend them adding something to the water, some minerals, or is it a reverse osmosis okay?
Getting a lot of minerals, you're going to be okay. I'm not a big fan. I don't take a lot of supplements. I don't think they're necessary. And then don't forget, if you have a juicer, you have that great juicer that we have, the type of juicer we have, and you drink.
Yes.
Minerals are getting, and of course, people say, "Oh, the soil is depleted." Up. I mean, that's true to a degree too. And of course, a lot of these companies have got, you got people putting information on here to intimidate or scare people about eating a healthy diet that you're not going to be nourished, you're not going to get enough of this, you're not going to get enough of that. That's still, if you're doing it wrong, you're not doing it correctly. I mean, I went out last night in the dark. I went up through the hills here, and I was going up a huge hill. It's about a quarter mile long. So I go up side of a mountain. Of course, I had the walker. I had a flashlight. I'm saying I was just praising God and thanking God that here I am, an old goat like me, climbing a mountain like a mountain goat. And I'm, I don't worry about half the stuff people are worried about. I don't even think about it. And I got a good background in the science. It took me a long time to come to some of the conclusions I'm come to. I followed some of the best Europeans. I followed the Creation Institute in San Diego, California. I followed some of the best Europeans at the Berkshire Brenner Clinic and all these places in California. Hans Nieper in Germany. Otto Warburg, who won the Nobel Peace Prize twice. He's been telling people for years what causes cancer and how to avoid it. Yet, have you ever heard of, how many people have heard of Otto Warburg? Otto Warburg was a brilliant, brilliant guy who won the Nobel Peace Prize 1941, I think in 1945. He was a German Jew. Hitler kept him alive because he was so brilliant. And some of the things he said, and discovered. And if it wasn't for the fact that he was so brilliant, he probably would have died in the Holocaust. He probably would have been one of the 11 million Jews that died. And you hear people talking about they can't lose weight, of course, of glandular issues and different problems. nobody ever come out of a concentration camp that was overweight. So what you eat will can regulate how much weight, or how you lose weight. There's no two ways about it. The carnivore diet is the quickest way to lose weight, but it doesn't mean it's the safest way over a long period of time. I'm not knocking it. People want to do it, go right ahead and, go right ahead and do it. I don't, that's for them to find out.
Sure. Another question is, we got the question is, would you consider yourself a spiritual, religious person? If so, do you think this was a contributor heavily to your longevity?
Absolutely. When I was a young guy, I was dyslexic. I'm flat out telling people everything about me. I was a dyslexic. I had a very bad speech impediment. In fact, I think to me, I still sound like a dead end kid from Brooklyn. I kind of slow my words a little bit. Had nothing to do with my age. So I got kicked out of a lot of schools because, I had trouble reading. I had trouble concentrating. I had tremendous amount of mental chatter. My mind was all over the place. And, I was very angry. I didn't believe in God. I thought it didn't make any sense. I couldn't envision some guy hanging out up in the clouds, so I just didn't believe that. But fortunately, I ran into a guy that was a nuclear physicist, and we became friends, and he was a scientist, and, he happened to follow a good diet himself. He followed a vegan diet. He was a nuclear physicist. He was a brilliant guy. So what happened, we got into some very big discussions, and he also happened to be a Bible scholar. So he started sharing that information with me. And in the beginning, I wasn't really that interested, but his brilliance, he was such a brilliant guy, it really caught my attention. So he told me there were 72 places in the Bible to fast and pray, and you could have an enlightenment, some kind of a divine enlightenment. And I didn't believe it at the time. And I was already into fasting. I did a lot of research with fasting. So I decided to try it. And I went on a long fast. And I don't know if I should say this out openly in public, But I was actually challenging God, and I was fasting. And 2 o'clock in the morning, 38 days into a water fast, I definitely had a divine encounter. From that day on, I started to follow, definitely follow, lead a Christian life. And I really, wanted to fully understand who Christ was and what he really did at the cross. But a lot of people really don't understand that. If they have a head knowledge of it, they don't have a heart knowledge of it. A heart knowledge of it. And I'm a Christian, 100%, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't live a fearful life. You know what I mean? I'm not looking to go any place, but if they carry me out the front door tomorrow in a body bag, I'm not really concerned about that. Yeah, spiritual had a lot to do with me living on a raw food diet too. And that's the reason I did the research in the Bible. Anybody that's an Old Testament scholar, should see that what I'm saying is accurate. So you either believe it, you're an Old Testament scholar, you either believe it or you don't believe it. But you could, I'm not saying you can't live on animal protein, you could, but I'm going by what the Bible said. Do you follow me, Paul?
I understand 100%.
All right.
Yes.
So yeah,
okay.
It's spiritual in the sense that I believe who Christ claimed to be. I believe that that's who he was, and that's my experience. Is that I believe that without the crucifixion and resurrection, Jesus Christ would have been a political activist that got in over his head and got crucified by the Romans. But I believe that if you believe the crucifixion, the resurrection, and if you believe that, you focus on that, not on your own strength and your own intellect, then something happens to that's the dramatic transformation. That's what happened to me anyway. And that, I changed in a moment. And I know I know cases where it happened to people. What happened to one guy in solitary confinement in a maximum security prison? Same thing happened to him. Same type of thing happened, you know. He called God out. That's what, you know, something happened to him too.
Sure. Well,
Question.
okay. Somebody's asking is what's more important in your opinion, exercise or diet?
I would say diet. Of course, what I found out that on a raw food diet, you don't have to train as hard to excel at endurance, especially endurance exercises. When I turned to long distance running, and I was on a raw food diet, you know, for 3 hours, for half hour to 45 minutes after you exercise strenuously, like I did last night, you know, if your body don't secrete insulin, so you could eat a tremendous amount of fruit, and you're actually recover from your exercise very, very quickly. So the poorer your diet is, if you're in good health, that means you have to exercise harder to increase the oxygen uptake of your body. You know, you have to train your body to do that. Well, you're on a real clean diet, you're not overeating, your body's already there without training that hard. So you don't really have to train that hard. Then there was many times, you know, over the years where I didn't, you know, I wasn't training as hard as I did and things like that for the long distance running and everything. And there's many times I would lay off for a month or two and go right out there like I never missed a workout. And as I said before, I used to love to run. I think I was addicted to it, the endorphins that it produces. And in the beginning, when I first started doing it, and this is very interesting, I think, is when I first started training on a raw food diet, I would train really hard. And when it came time to run in a marathon, long distance race, I would run out of gas. And it didn't take me long to figure out why, is I definitely was not getting enough fuel. So of course, I thought if you ate too much fruit, that sugar was going to be bad for you. So then right after I trained, I would eat a lot of fruit. I would eat plenty of fruit based on the amount of exercise I was doing. And there was there was one guy in particular that was criticizing and saying that I could never do it on the diet. And I wasn't doing it in the beginning. He said it was never going to work. And it did end up working. I ended up running ultra distances on the same type of diet. So I used to load up on the fruit after I exercise and eat plenty of fruit to make sure that I'm sustaining my body weight. So I wasn't, you know, utilizing my body weight as fuel. And I was able to run, you know, long distances and run pretty fast. I'm going to do it again. If the doctor gives me permission to be able to run after this surgery, I'm going to do it again. I want to encourage people to be able to step outside the box and don't believe all the hype and all the misinformation out there. And watch out for anecdotal information. There's a lot of information coming from professional people, claim that can have credentials in different fields, but the information they're giving people is anecdotal, you know? Like that doctor was talking about the carnivore diet and pushing everybody to eat the carnivore diet. And that was anecdotal information. All of a sudden he got sick and he changed his mind. Now he's telling people to go back to, you know, to eat. I don't know if he's telling people to eat a plant-based diet, but whatever. I don't really, you know, I don't want to criticize anybody. Everybody's probably doing the best they can.
Sure. So another question we have is, should fruit consumption be kept to a minimum due to the high sugar content?
Due to the high acidic content?
The high sugar content.
No, that's weird. But no, not at all. It depends. If you're exercising, I'm not saying that you should eat fruit the way you eat candy just for the pleasure of. No, I'm not talking about. There was a guy in Australia years ago who used to eat 40, 50 bananas. That, you know, that's ridiculous. No, what I'm telling people that if you're not eating processed food, and you're eating a clean diet, a plant-based diet with a small amount of or eating some animal protein, it's not gonna, you know. Now there's people that are recommending a low, you know, no fat or low fat diet, which I agree with, and you're eating fruit and they got diabetes and their blood sugar don't even go up. That's true. I'm doing that myself with people. So if you're eating a diet that's high in processed food and you add fruit into the diet, yeah, your blood sugar is going to go up because you're adding more sugar into the caloric pool, and you're a diabetic. But once you remove the fat from the insulin receptors that pick up the insulin, and you do that by reducing your fat intake, you can eat plenty of fruit. There's not a problem. But I don't recommend people just eat fruit for the sheer pleasure of it. What some people were doing for a while. They would sit down and, eat whole watermelon. That I never did that. I believe, the way I look at things spiritually, for my spiritual values, I got dominion over my appetite right away. I have control of my appetite. I sit down, even in my own household, over the holidays. My wife's an excellent cook. We have people come in, they're putting out all kinds of stuff. I eat the same thing I always eat. Same thing. Is there a temptation? No. I don't, because that's the way I look at things from a spiritual sense. Everybody's laying down on the couch. Everybody's running back and forth to the bathroom. Now everybody's calling up my wife, tell them who's sick, who got the flu, who got this, who got that. It's from the food. Overeating. Gluttony. You're not supposed to be gluttony and debauchery, your brothers and sisters. You're a glutton, no matter what type of food you're eating. You're going to create an excess of food that's going to only be partially digested. You're going to create the internal environment, and the bacteria is going to proliferate. Watch what happens between now and February. Watch all the people getting sick. What's it from? The temperature has a lot to do with it too.
Sure. So, Fred, give us an idea of your daily lifestyle of what time you get up, how you eat, and then how you exercise, what time you go to sleep. Give people an example of away from this time, maybe of the holidays, but in general, what you do.
What? Say that again?
Just in general, give people an idea on the average day. We know there are certain circumstances some days, but on the average day, I know you've been doing consistent for 50 years now, but what is your lifestyle? When do you eat? How often do you eat? How much? And how's your sleep?
Okay. Well, since I had the first laminectomy, my life has been different because I've been in a lot of pain, But if you want me to go before I had the laminectomy, or you want me to go now, I could tell you before when I was.
No, go before what you've been doing for all these years, and yeah.
All right. I'm into I practice qigong, which is a form of breathing and stretching. Developed by the Shaolin monks. I'm a big fan of that. In fact, I'm going to start doing that again. I'm getting back to it on tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow will be the first day I'll be able to do it. And then I always exercise a lot. I did push-ups, and I couldn't do chin-ups because of my arm, so I did a lot of exercise, light dumbbell work. And of course, I ran religiously. I love to run. In fact, if you go on YouTube, you'll see some running I did coming over the hill. My wife was singing an Irish lullaby. That's on there. That was really good. So I went out. I did a lot of running. I very rarely. In fact, I never ate before 11 o'clock. Because I felt that was the ideal time for me to break the fast. And very rarely did I ever eat after 7 o'clock. There were occasions where I was out with people. I went to somebody's house, and they went to a lot of trouble for me. And they bought me like fruit and things like that. So I would eat late. But whenever I did that, which was rare, I wouldn't eat the next day to 3 or 4 o'clock. Maybe I didn't even eat to dinner time. And there are cases where I don't want to inconvenience people and bring attention to myself. We were touring California, and we had another family with us. There was a bunch of kids, and we're coming down the highway that runs down California, and they wanted to eat in different restaurants. And I never objected, and I would go 2 or 3 days without eating, without no problem whatsoever. I didn't feel bad, didn't miss the food. I don't. So basically, I do use a juicer. I got that wonderful juicer, the Nama J2 juicer. I do juice maybe 6 days a week. And as you know, I'm a big fan of durian. So, I just had a wonderful durian pudding today. I make with that machine. It's just, you know, just that to me, I could live on that stuff. And I eat salad, and I eat some sprouted nuts and seeds. I don't overeat them. I know you don't need a lot, And see, I eat avocados. I love avocados. I do use a little bit of Moroccan olive oil. Of course, Moroccan olive oil has 30% more polyphenols. A lot of people that are into starch-based vegan diets tell you not to use any olive oil. I've been using olive oil all along, and I have people use it. If you want to leave it out, you can leave it out. If you have clogged arteries, maybe you are better off leaving it out, but I've seen plenty of people recover from that, by following the right type of diet. I don't eat late at night. I don't do it. I just know, because when you go from daylight to darkness, the optic nerve in your eye sends a message to that apostat in your brain to slow your metabolism down. So if you eat late at night, you're not digesting that food. You're going to ferment. Of course, I just saw a guy just recently. That's what was happening. And there are people that get up in the middle of the night and eat. To me, that's about the worst thing you could do, to get up in the middle of the night and eat a sandwich or something like that. So my life, I eat a variety of different fruits and vegetables. I don't eat the same thing all the time. And, a lot of people, years ago, people used to drink carrot juice. They stopped drinking carrot juice because the sugar content in it, To me, that's Norman Walker recommended carrot juice many, many years ago. I like carrot juice. I mix it with all different types of things, and I like that juice that Namaste through juice is just unbelievable. So easy to clean and everything. I don't get anything but mention in this, So
Sure.
basically, I do a lot of breathing. I do a lot of samurai breathing, or some people there's another guy out there like Wim Hof breathing. Whenever I'm running, I do a lot of breathing, a lot of diaphragmatic breathing. Whenever I'm going up a hill, I do a lot of breathing. And of course, I use a lot of psychology. When it comes to stamina and ultra endurance, a lot of it is psychological. It's your ability to sustain maximum effort without letting it intimidate you. Like some of these guys in the Navy SEALs. I was talk to a guy the other day. His nephew's a Navy SEAL. He's 26, 27 years old, and this guy's an athlete. He's ready. I go out with the guy. The guy just don't quit. He seems to be like a machine. But those guys are special, though. They wouldn't get through that hell week they have to do if they weren't mentally strong. You got to be mentally strong to do ultra endurance, to run through it. It's mental. It's not just because you reach a point where you think you can't go anymore, but you can. You just don't realize it. I found that out by using hypnosis when I wanted to do ultra endurance, because you start to look subconsciously to see if you're going to tighten up, how you're going to feel, and that your mind has tremendous influence over your physiology. And you don't look at that, you can keep going. You can go a lot further than you think you could go. It really is pretty amazing.
Wow. Well, Fred, we've been on a while, and before we end, I got one more question, and then feel free to say what you want before we end. And we'll definitely do this again, everybody, and I'll give you more of an understanding of what we're here. But just scratching the surface here. But so, Fred, my question to your microphone's on. Did you say something? Oh, so my question to you, Dr. Bisci, is: you're 94 years old, or 94 years young. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. If this is your last interview or recording where the world's going to see what you have to say, you have so much information out there. But what would you want to leave people with?
Well, because of my relationship with Christ, I practice unconditional love, kindness, and generosity. That's why I say I'm not looking to create any kind of controversy. I'm not looking to knock anybody. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from following any kind of a diet, any kind of a specific diet. I'm just giving them them, trying to give people the benefits in the twilight of my life of my experience, probably seeing 25 to 30,000 people with all different types of sicknesses and what the results have been. I'm not looking to make myself look good by knocking other people. That's not what I want to do. I want to be remembered as a person that tried to share what little bit of knowledge I have and to do some good. And it's not all, it's not. Listen, I could have made a ton of money by advocating certain things and going and compromising in certain ways. I never made a lot of money. I make a good living. I live in a nice home. I enjoy my fire at night. And, maybe the good Lord will take me tomorrow, but it looks like I'm going to be here a while longer. And the truth the truth is self-evident. It speaks for itself. And, they say, oh, you can't be strong on a raw vegan diet because you're not getting enough protein. Well, a lot of people have witnessed me doing 3 sets of 10 in the knee bends when in my late 60s, early 70s with 300 pounds. There were many people saw me do it. So that's not a lie. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I want to be remembered as a person that tried to do good, not to do any harm to people, and to try to spread what I thought to be the truth, and to mentor and teach as many people as I can to be able to produce the same type of results. There is no product that I recommend or tell people about that I get any kind of I don't get a commission for anything. I don't get any money, and I do that purposely. I could label my own vitamins. People want me to private label. I don't do it because everybody knows when I recommend something, I'm not getting anything. The only thing I'm getting for is giving a person a chance to do better.
All right.
And I don't. I just want to see people do well. That's all. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yes. Well, your advice has helped so many people and is tremendous help to me in my life. And I'm glad to call you one of my best friends. And everybody, we're going to have Dr. Bisci on again in the future. He has a lot more to share. And there's a lot of information on my website and YouTube channel with other videos with Dr. Bisci you can go and see. Dr. Bisci, before we end tonight, because we will do another video again, is there anything you want to share with everybody before we close tonight?
Well, maybe people could tell you about different subjects that we could focus on.
Sure.
I'm a big proponent of supervised fasting, because I've done a lot of long-term fasting. In fact, when I first met you, you came to my house. I don't know if you remember, to interview me. I was like 36, 37 days into a water fasting. Did I look like I was dying or anything?
I wouldn't have known if you didn't tell me.
Yeah, okay. Well,
But,
we'll do it. Well, keep getting as much information out there. And of course, listen, if anybody wants to have a friendly discussion, I'm not talking where you're insulting people and things like that. Have a friendly discussion to resolve, come to maybe a better conclusion. I'm open to doing it. For a while there, when I was on Instagram, I mean, there was one woman in particular was cursing me and insulting me for what I was saying, because at that time, what was going on a couple of years ago, what I said turned out to be true. And, and a couple of times I mentioned God, and, this one woman, I think that I didn't respond because I thought she needed a lot of help, We'll do it again, Paul, whatever you want to, however you want to do, whatever people suggest, I'll do it.
sure. Everybody, put in the comments below the video what topics you'd like us to discuss next time. We'll do another live Q&A. Thank you, everybody, for watching tonight. The replay you can see on the YouTube channel, Raw Life Health Show. And thank you.